Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday morning paranormal coffee talk. I'm Nighthawk, and Eric's backstage waiting, and we're going to get into the disclaimers, and then we're going to get into the subject. Apologize for not being on the air the last couple days, but I have been not doing well. So, that being said, I'm going to go beyond that and do the disclaimer. This channel may use some copyrighted material without specific authorization of the owner, but contends that it falls under the Fair Use, which is the Copyright Act 1976, which makes allowances for such purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, parody, general knowledge, and let's not forget the entertainment value. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Also, we use the UCut app for all of our intro and outro videos, and any videos that we used for advertising and stuff on the channel, we use the UCut app. Why? Because it's free and it's good. All you got to do is watch a commercial and you can get your account going, and it's got some good editing stuff on it too. So those of you that see a lot of the stuff that I do and put on Facebook and all that. So that being said, that's a good app. So, and yes, if you pay for it, the more benefits you get. So just like anything in life. So unfortunately in this life. But let's refresh our memories, okay? Let's do this. Let's go to the human eye can only see between 430 and 770 terahertz. Our ears can only detect sounds between 20 hertz and 20 kilohertz. Okay. These ranges make up a fractional of the total sound and light frequency range. And it is fractional. It's something like 2% of the entire range in our spectrum that we should have the ability to see. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is because we are opening discussion here with the Glimmer Man. Now, I did some AI and stuff to mess around with it to try and depict, a glimmer, man type of a being. And I did some basically some added features. Okay, let's say this is the first one I came up with here, which kind of fits the descriptions, although it's too dark. But I think it's, it goes without saying that it's absorbing the ambient light around it, which is darker. Then we've got the multiple, which are the crystal skull type of looking beings. And then there was one that I added a feature on it that struck me because you know how I'm always talking about the Watchers and about the Fallen and you know Anunnaki and stuff like that, and it just made sense. Why not put wings on it? And by God, if it didn't come out looking almost angelic, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's absolutely amazing. I don't know, Eric. I mean, the Glimmer Man has been reported several times. Not recently, not in recent years. I think the last time it was sighted was 2010. I seen it here on the property probably about 2.5 to almost 3 years ago. And we have a lot of dumb facilities around us. And because obviously the Pentagon and DC are real close and all that. So but we have the quiet town in Virginia that is you're not even allowed to like shout in this little town because of the radar or the sound radar um, telescope that they have for outer space. We have Mount Airy. We have all kinds of different locations around here. So that being said, I almost think that there is the connection between the United States military and the Glimmer Man. Now, I'm not saying it's not possibly a fallen angel or a watcher of angelical or divine, you know, energy. It very well could be, but it just seems like the more you hear sightings of it, it's more around military places. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting deal. It makes you wonder if that's something that was created by our government and it's an artificial intelligence, or is that an actual angelic being, or is it extraterrestrial? I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how far back the reports of that go. I haven't really looked into Glimmer Man a whole much, so I'm not as savvy on it. But from what I understand, I don't think the reports go that very far back.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I got it on video one time. Actually, Dennis Carroll pointed it out to me when I was doing the portals video here on the property, and I think I have that on the members only site. I think I have that one, and he said at the very end you could see a glimmery looking humanoid figure standing in amongst the trees, and
Hmm.
I almost chalk that up to and I did review it. You could see it. Yeah, it's difficult, but if you adjust your eyes to it, you can see it. But I almost liken it into maybe another dimensional being or a higher divine angelic type of a being. I
Hmm.
think there's multiple ones. I think there might be something linked to the military because we all know that they have the what I like to call the Harry Potter cloaking capes, if you know what I
Hmm.
mean, and several other different types of, where it takes the fiber optics and it uses the picture in front of you to put it, on you, so you
Hmm.
blend, that kind of technology. But you know, I'm leaning more towards some of this because of the times being that they are that we're probably going to be seeing a lot more of the Glimmer Man, a lot more. And the only reason I say that is because it's it is almost a divine type of a possibility that this is a another dimensional being, and it states in the Bible. And seeing as it's Sunday, I might as well say it. It states in the Bible about the dimensions of heaven, and it describes it as, oh, I don't even know if I have a picture of it. I think I do, but I might not. No, I didn't upload it. Um, anyways, it talks about how the fallen angels and stuff, and Lucifer are all in like the third heaven, and
Hmm.
God is on his throne in this above the seventh heaven, which kind of makes sense because when we were kids, we had this saying about being in seventh heaven. Whenever you really liked something, it was seventh heaven. So it kind of
Hmm.
makes sense. So obviously, there's something to that. Um, Now, whether they are good angelic beings or bad angelic beings is I don't know, but it seems almost like they're using their ability for like maybe a watcher's type of a thing. So they're not really interacting with people other than being spotted occasionally. What do you think about that?
I mean, definitely all possible. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot about them. Definitely possible. I mean, you know, Stuart and Deidre are asking some questions. Stuart was asking, "Are they created by us or watching us?" Man, I have no clue. Both of them's good possibilities. And then Deidre
Well,
asked, could it be interdimensional? I mean, that's another very good possibility.
yeah. Well, I
Hey,
definitely
Corey.
believe they're interdimensional. So, yeah, they're definitely
Yeah.
interdimensional. Whether they are angelic beings or not remains to be seen. But I would liken them unto a watcher. That's what I would
Yeah.
do, because of just the way they don't interact with, you know, humans when they're spotted. They tend to leave the area.
Hmm. Well, and that would, so I mean, that brings up curiosity. I mean, the possibility. I mean, it's still very possible they could be created by us. I mean, and they know where the secret entrances to the dumbs are, and we don't. And yeah, Dan, happy birthday today, by the way. Um, so that's all possible. But with them jumping in and out of uh, um, dimensions, yeah, I mean, exactly. Heaven's got many dimensions, and a lot of places got many dimensions. Um, I'm sorry, I didn't know you was popping that around. I was trying to get caught up on the. It's them being interdimensional. Oh yeah, man, it's definitely possible. 9 is just 4. Snow, Stopot. It's 4. 9. Um, sorry. Um, but yeah, I mean that's also possible. That one you showed that had it looked like the crystal skull ones. That had me thinking, is that what these crystal skulls that we're finding are? And there's 13 of them all together. Of course, we know the Indiana Jones theory behind it is that they're interdimensional beings. When you combine them together, you get all the knowledge of everything. So I mean, that's a very common theory with the crystal skulls. They do fit uh, the interdimensional thing. So I remember that much of them. You know, makes you think though. So. Thanks, Dan. I don't know how digital cake's going to taste, but we'll give her a try, buddy.
uh,
Military has box that whites out images on digital cameras. That's what they say. There's not a technical fiber, rather energetic or physical that shows or visual capability. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they've got the technology they have. We have no clue. Shields, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, they have technology that does all kinds of stuff like that.
yeah, that technology. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg too, though, because of what
Yeah.
they have. I mean, yeah, what's leaked out is usually about 40 to 50 years old. So,
At minimum. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Usually by the time they leak it out, it's because they've got like anywhere from 3 to 4 generations that's better than what they leaked out on a bare
exactly.
minimum.
Yep.
And there's stuff they
Exactly.
got that they still leak out. So, I mean, could this be some type of AI programming military weapon? That's possible too. I mean, we'd be doing a disservice if we didn't consider this because of, like I said, I don't know how far back the sightings go. It's not something that I am versed on.
Right.
Jessica says the quantum stealth technology is pretty wild. It is. I mean, it really is. Yeah, Jess, we did a show about that together. Yeah. I mean, the abilities they have it's even surpassed when I was in. There was stuff you showed me that was just a theory when I was in.
Hmm.
They
You'll
can
need
say,
to unlock your iPhone first.
I ain't talking to you.
Okay.
Nine. Stopa.
Get her, Snow. Get
Uh,
her.
well, he's growling at boar. Boar's running around outside. Yeah, I mean, Urso, they got technology that beams down to any electrical device you have. They have a 3D image of your room. They can read every bit of your paper, scrappings, mail, whatever you got in a 35-foot radius. They can hear everything, see everything as they were sitting in that room with you. Yeah, you're absolutely got that stuff.
Yeah, I just find it very interesting though that these beings are so it's like they're
Mm-hmm.
not even trying to interact with humanity, that they are literally watching us from the shadows. I mean, if you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
literally. Which,
Mm-hmm.
leads me to think, well, either it's going to be some type of governmental program to where they're trying to do psychological tests on people, and record it, or it's angelic in nature within its makeup, which could make it fallen, a watcher, or even just a seraphim or a nephilim, something
Mm-hmm.
along that lines, um, or it's interdimensional and possibly alien in makeup, and we have no
Mm-hmm.
idea what it is. But it just seems to
Yeah.
me it makes more sense that it's connected spiritually to this plane, um,
Yeah.
because of the way it acts, and as often as it's not seen very often. It's only once in a great while it's seen. So that itself tells me that if it was military, they would be testing it repeatedly over a certain area,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And they're usually consistent with keeping it within the same location, whereas this thing has been spotted all around the world. So,
Yeah.
I'm just not sold on the military aspect of it. I'm more sold on the
Yeah.
spiritual energy of it.
And I would agree there too. I mean, the only reason why I put it in the military class because of what the things that they do. It is not beyond them to create something like this. But I feel more of I mean, I wouldn't put it Nephilim. Nephilim is described way differently what these things are. But as a sentinel or a watcher, a fallen, yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that being a huge possibility. Um, I'm, I'm, I'm pretty convinced if they're anything. I mean, this is just what little knowledge I have. They're extraterrestrial or interdimensional. I feel like
Right.
we're all at a massive crossroads of sorts. I really feel drawn here as fascinating as the truth is. A few years ago, I would never have entertained this at all. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are in the same boat as you are, Dan. A lot of them are.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are starting to realize, and, I can tell you things that are there in the dark, um, more than most people because of what I've been through and, what I go
Mhm.
through every day and interact with. But these things are different, and it's pretty significant if I can't get a fix on it. And the reason I say that is it's almost like they have the ability to block me from being able to like read them, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I don't know. That's why I'm thinking it's more angelic than anything. And angelic
Yep.
can be interdimensional too, by the way. Okay, just so you know,
Yeah.
it can be interdimensional. So angelic just means that, and it can also even be labeled as an alien, being called angelic because of what we all read in the Anunnaki, you know, uniform and all that. So Sumerian tablets and the emerald tablets of Thoth, and the copper scrolls even mention aliens being here, and so I
Mhm.
mean it's even the Bible actually says it. So are angels or demons just a label that humanity put on them, or
Mhm.
is it the fact that angels and demons are different from aliens? That's the question. And I don't believe there is a difference. I think they're probably one and the same.
Yeah. Roxanne, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I have an EMF protector on my phone. Because they're no longer just listening; they're tapping into your thoughts using the EMF field. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I have this EMF protector on my phone is for that very reason right there. On top of that, they can't, hit me with their crap.
I've got
Yeah, yeah, Dan.
I've got one of those EMF bags that I can put my phone in at night, and it kills all the signal to the phone. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have to be careful with a lot of the stuff we got going on. Um, because of the crap that's going on. Man, we have to take precautions. I got to get more EMF stuff for all the rest of my devices. But I mean, this is why I put this stuff on there. And all my, hey, Marty, all my EMF protectors are frequency based.
oh,
Dan says
Dan,
he's hoping you get your book done.
yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that. I can only try to get a book written. And the reason I say that is because it's getting to the point where it's getting difficult to how do I want to say this, to what I would normally be able to do. So it's this the things that I've got going on. See, the reason I didn't have a podcast Friday night was because I completely lost my vision for most of the day. And that I chalk that up to the brainstem mass that I have right now currently, and that they say is not cancer, which is beyond me. Um, but needless to say, it's there, and it's pinching off my nerves and my circulatory system. The bigger it gets, and every now and then I will lose my eyesight, and usually it only lasts like a half an hour to an hour at the most. But Friday it lasted most of the day into the night. I didn't get my vision back till probably around midnight. So yeah, that's why I didn't have a podcast Friday night. And then Saturday, I couldn't even sleep at all. Saturday, when I woke up, I just, after about an hour nap, I just felt drained, physically, just completely drained. So I didn't do anything on Saturday really. So
Yeah.
it's getting progressively worse, but at the same time, I have a way to fight through it. Unfortunately, when it happens like that, where I lose my vision, I literally can't. I mean, I know my way to do things. I probably could have done a podcast because of doing it so often and knowing where everything's at and all that. But it wouldn't be the kind of podcast I'd want to put on. So
Mhm.
that being said, you know, I've I've interacted with so much these past 2 days. Um, yeah, if anybody ever wants to hone in, and Dan, I'll put this out to you too, bro. And happy birthday, by the way. This is a little um, magic with a K, kind of a present to you. That if anybody wants to build their psychic ability, just walk around or live life blindfolded completely with no light leakage into your eyes for an entire 24 hours and just see how your abilities will hone. If you do that periodically, like say maybe once or twice a month, um, your abilities, first off, your abilities to sense things around you are going to heighten, because you have lost that visual effect of seeing things. Okay. We are designed with an electromagnetic field around us, and basically we have the ability to use that sense in us to basically almost mimic that of a bat. You know, when a bat's flying around, they know where the insect is to eat, and they'll fly to it, and you know, so
I was trying to put that up on on my YouTube. Roxanne, there is the link to where I get my EMF protectors. And for anybody else who's wanting to know, I know Roxanne had asked, but for some reason when I was posting it on my YouTube side, it wasn't popping up in the deal. So I just popped it up on yours, William. But I go to Body Align and all their stuff, their pain stuff. I mean, everything they have is all frequency based. I really like their stuff.
yeah, and you can
So
get the
for
same protection with a piece of shungite too, though.
mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that's for anybody who's wanting to know, because I know Roxanne was asking.
All right.
Corey says I've been seeing lots of things for the last 3 or 4 days. Holy cow!
Yeah. Yeah, him and Corey and I talked about that too. That how he's going to be seeing a lot more. He's got that a special ability, that has been gifted to him, and he's going to be interacting a lot more with stuff. So for you all that's listening to this or watching this, um, Corey's probably going to developing into quite the almost like with my abilities, as far as being able to see things and to read things. Um, there's whenever one about the only way I can describe it is whenever one candle blows out, another two are lit. And I describe it that way because when people that have gifts of stuff that have the abilities to see into the spirit world and to communicate with the spirit world, and like whether you consider yourself a medium or an empath, or you know and they even have animal therapists out there that can read your animals and stuff and communicate with them psychically, which I believe is a definite possibility. But I don't, I usually can tell an animal what an animal's thinking just by their body language, to tell you the truth, and their temperament. So, and you don't want to get on the either end of them on a bad day, trust me. But that being said, that's why whenever one psychic, or specially gifted person passes away, I believe that the creator gives us two in place of them, or her. And I've noticed that a lot take when what was her name? Sandra Brown, I think her name was. She was a supposedly a psychic and all that. Well, when she passed away, there was like immediately three other people that basically were basically being instructed or mentored by her for their psychic abilities that took over. So there's always good that comes out of tragedy, or
Mhm.
what we perceive as tragedy. Um, but I perceive it more as the advancement of humanity. And one of these days, humanity as a whole across the board is going to be at that level with the special abilities that we're supposed to have from birth since day one. Because, you have to ask yourself, why is humanity, why are humans the only animal on the planet? Okay. That when our young is born, our young are completely dependent upon us 100% of the time to clothe them, to feed them, to change them, to put a roof over their head, to keep them warm, to keep them safe. When animals do it in the wild, they usually have a senior animal looking out for them, or a spouse,
Oh,
you know, especially with birds of prey. Um, and I guess my way of seeing it is like when we put our children, when they're infants, to bed at night, we leave them alone, completely alone, to interact with the open universe. Okay. And at that time, it's such a fragile time of our, because we don't have any special abilities. So we are literally left to the wolves after dark, to the spirits. And I do believe that the ones that had interactions when they were infants and children, um, I do believe that those people are the ones that are selected basically from all the children and stuff to have gifts of certain abilities to interact with the spiritual, the supernatural, the paranormal, whatever you want to call it. That they're gifted these abilities at that age, and it's up to the parents when they see. And I discussed this on Facebook the other day. Sometime last week, I believe, about the signs to look for. Like if your child is playing with an imaginary friend, we all had these imaginary friends that our parents told us they were just an imaginary thing, and what the parents didn't understand was it wasn't an imaginary friend. It was a a spirit that came forth, knowing that that child is in a point in its life to where it can train and learn to have special abilities, and the spirits interact with that child through that. And if the parents don't recognize that, and the child doesn't develop that, then that's one less gifted person that's going to be blessed into the world to communicate with the spirit world and other beings. And it's sad because a lot of parents don't, they can't comprehend that. They can't see it for themselves because they were neglected that way too. So it's a long and just arduous road that we as human beings, when we're born and enter this world, that we're literally left to fend for ourselves. So I
yeah.
don't know.
Um, my dang mouse quit working. There was a couple things here I wanted to draw attention to. Let me get back up to them. They were up here a little ways. And Corey, I know where you're coming from on that. I mean, I was that way for a very long time. I thought it was a curse too. And, Pastor Joe Campbell's the one that taught me it's not a curse, and he kind of got me to learning how to use it for what it's meant. So, I mean, I know where you're coming from on that as well. And Roxanne, if you tone yours good enough, your feelings become images, and that's how you get to see things. So it takes a lot of toning. You got to really tune in to it. You got to work on that ability, and then what you feel will turn into images in your head. Sometimes physical images, but a lot of times images in your head. So, I mean, it depends on how much you want to see, is how much you want to work on that.
Right. And the best
Oh,
way to
Larry,
do that I found is to use the old blindfold thing. Oh, thank you, Larry. 5 months. That's
heck
awesome.
yeah, that's awesome right there. Good morning, Ida. Hey, Griff. Um, I'm gonna make sure I didn't miss any other comments. No worries, bud. Val said my son definitely had strange memories and imaginary friends when he was younger, in his 30s. Now he doesn't remember. A lot of us did. A lot of us, I mean, have had imaginary friends, but it makes you wonder how many of them were actually imaginary.
Right. Right.
Yeah, my
And
grandmother
for us
told
to
me
use that
before.
term, I mean, imagination is a very, very powerful thing. And that's one thing that a child has, that their abilities, that's the first ability that a child has developed. That is his
Mhm,
imagination or her imagination. And it is a
mhm.
very, very powerful tool when it comes to magic with a K, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at me and my youngest daughter. My oldest one is starting to get into these abilities, so I've been kind of working with her too. My youngest is it was like me; she's very strong in this stuff. So I've been kind of working with her, getting her to understand it, how to discern it, and stuff like that, because it's a lot of work. And of course she's as stubborn and pig-headed as I am, thinking, "Oh, I got these abilities, I'm a master." I'm trying to teach her, honey, you got a lot to learn, and I want you to
Yeah.
learn better than I did because I learned most of my stuff the very hard way. Um, so I mean, I encourage you, if your kids have that ability and you know how to work with that ability, teach your kids.
And if
Don't
you don't
don't
know how to
don't teach
work,
them like
yeah, if you don't know how to work with that ability, then there's always people out there that can help them. Um,
Mhm.
so don't be afraid to join one of the communities and of the psychic networks and stuff like that. A perfect example of that is oh God, I can't remember his name now for the life of me. Oh my God, and he just got out of the hospital too.
Mm. Yeah,
I can't remember his name for the life of me right now. See, my mind is blanking out a little bit at a time, but Chip Coffee, that's it. Chip Coffee. He was one that definitely took young people under his wing and instructed them on their abilities and stuff. And
yeah.
there's several others out there. I I think that there should be at least some kind of a group or an organization. I don't know, maybe maybe you and Corey could start it. Who knows? That could help these young people develop these gifts without having
Yeah.
to be concerned on what people think about them. And that's the biggest letdown, the biggest drawdown about the whole abilities thing and being gifted is you don't want to, when you're young, you don't want to embarrass yourself by talking about it to especially your peers because you'll never hear the end of it. So if they had some
Mhm.
kind of an outlet to help them mature their gift, um, that's the best way to go. So, and I leave that up to all the adults to basically pick that up and to carry the torch on that because it's gotten to the point right now where, everybody's there's so many, and I see it all the time. I literally see it all the time, and and Creator, forgive me for saying this, um, but there are people out there that claim to have the psychic abilities and stuff and the gifts that don't really have it, that are basically a type of a con artist, to say the least. And that's the politest way I can say it. They take advantage of people, and teaching them their gift, um, and it's kind of like, I don't know how Corey feels about this, or any of the other indigenous people that listen to this podcast feel about this. But me, as for being a native elder and a holy man, I am, how I want to say this, I am at that point where, I see everybody that claims that they're a shaman, and and they make all these wild accusations, but yet they're they have no ancestral blood whatsoever in them. And some of them even state that they don't, but they studied under a shaman here in the United States to get their shaman license and all this other crap. And I'm sorry, and like I said, I don't mean to offend anybody. Some of them might be shaman, but shaman come from South America. Shaman were not from North America. We called our people, the Cherokee called them the four priests. The Lakota called them the holy men, the Wachashawakans, the medicine people. Um, the word shaman comes from the South America. So if you're studying under a shaman, um, to me, you would have to go to South America to study. Plain and
Or it's
simple.
a fake.
It's just that, it's, I think it's just another aspect of people trying to build themselves up in a society that is becoming more and more openly acceptable to the native pathways, the indigenous path. But if they don't know the good red road, or they don't know how to walk in beauty, um, they shouldn't be calling themselves shaman. Okay. That is a title, just like medicine man or medicine woman or Wachasha or priest. You know, that is a title that is a very, very um,
Sacred.
distinctive, celebrated, sacred type of a title. Okay. It's not one that we give out just like we give out water to drink. And a lot of these people that go around saying that they're shaman, it tears me up. It literally tears me up. And and I don't want to offend anybody, because I know there are some people that consider themselves shaman that listen to this podcast, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that aspect of it. Um, but what they need to understand is that medicine way that they're talking about strictly comes from South America. If they're trying to link shamanism up with the North American indigenous cultures, they're not going to find that connection. They need to make that connection by going to the elders, going to the holy men that are on on these reservations and stuff wherever they live, and addressing them, taking them tobacco and gifts and stuff, and asking for them to guide them, on their spiritual path. Because otherwise you're putting forth a spiritual belief and knowledge of South America into a North American indigenous culture that doesn't have some of the same rituals and the same rites of passages and all that, and the same spiritual beliefs. So, you really, if you're going to call yourself a shaman, you really need to study everything. Okay, and what I mean by everything, you should study your herbal medicine people. You should study the ceremonial medicine people. Um, the only thing I suggest you don't study is the darker arts of native stuff, because it literally
Mm-hmm.
destroyed me. Okay, and it's not a path you want to go down. Trust me. Okay. But that's just my 2 cents on the whole thing. I think that as children develop and they have their imaginary friends, that it is up to the adults to hone those abilities and to work with those children. So that's just my 2 cents.
Sorry, I have my daughter in here. Um, there's a couple things we need to hit up on here real quick. Let me figure out where the first one was. It was a while back. Corey said, my daughter thought I was full of it until something called out my name from behind us one night and she freaked out. I mean, yeah, my kids, the same thing. I mean, and I think it's nine stopa.
Yeah.
That's
And
that way with a lot of us. Like I said, I never had nobody to teach me this stuff. I was learning this stuff on my own up until Pastor Joe Campbell helped to teach me, hone it in. I'm by far no medicine man, nothing. Do I have the bloodlines of the seers from Nordic side in my body? Yes. Do I have bloodlines of holy people in my bloodline from Native American side? Yes. But I am neither. I'm just me. So, I mean, I'm learning this stuff on my own, learning stuff from my brother here, learning stuff from past mentors and just learning to hone my stuff in. And that's one thing that we can do. Some of us ain't blessed to have teachers, and that's just how it is. And that's where you need to figure out, you'll be able to feel who's actually true and who's not. And take that guidance if you're trying to learn. Stop. Now you're being rude. Sorry, guys.
right.
So, I mean, I get where you're coming from on that, Corey.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find some other ones here real quick. Hey, Griff, yeah, I mean, exactly. For a long time, there was a lot of people. That was how it was. You unless you was part of the native people, you never talked about this. Or if you
Exactly.
was either the native people or the secretive group that still practiced the old ways, you never talked it outside of that group.
Well, it's like I've
So I
said,
mean,
for the number of years, we weren't even allowed to practice our own spiritual beliefs, do our own anipis and stuff, our own sweat lodge and our own vision quests and stuff until the late
Mhm.
70s, when Congress decided to let us have our religious rights back as indigenous people.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, and thank God it was because of an older generation, the generation that grew up and was born in the times of greasy grass, Little Bighorn, that and the ghost dance movement, that that were the elders at the time, and that were able to take and instruct the younger ones, about the Inipis and all that, how to construct the Inipi, um, how to do your tobacco prayer tides, how to do flesh offerings, the whole 9 yards, how to do humblatia. Um, it is. Wow. Okay. It is exactly that.
Mhm.
We depend on the old ones, the ancestors, and all that for everything we do nowadays. Um, and unfortunately, I mean, I'm gonna be. That's why I'm doing that one video that's their podcast. That's going to be a video that I'm putting out in the next 2 days. It's called "Wait Until Dark," and it talks a lot about the dark part of the arts and stuff, and what not to do, um, and what not to say, and how to look at things, and more of a teaching type of a thing than anything. Um, and then the other one is going to be with the indigenous missing people and bringing them home. So that's two that I want to get done this weekend. Actually, in fact, today after this podcast, I'll be starting on them, and
Mm.
it should be pretty informative. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's the amount of people, and one thing my mind always goes to too when we find these people that are so starving to learn the native ways, the indigenous ways, is I'm reminded of the incident that happened in Arizona with the sweat lodge from the holistic type of a movement, where all those people died in a sweat lodge that was constructed out of plastic tarps. And
Oh, man.
and I think it was like 24 people died from that. And anybody anybody first off that has half a brain knows that you don't use plastic on anything when it comes to incorporating high temperature.
Mhm.
So that was a definite, right there should have been a red flag. Um, and just because somebody puts their sweat lodge to the east to where the sun rises doesn't mean they know the ceremony. You have the right to ask questions. You have the right to be inquisitive about the songs that are sung, the Inipi pipe songs and all that, and the Inipi blessing songs. You have the right to know that before you go into it. You have the right to know how many doors your sweat lodge is going to have. Okay, how many rocks are going to be brought in to make grandmother's breath and grandfather's breath come off of the stone. Um,
Mhm.
you have that right. Now, we, as far as the Lakota aspect of my bloodline, we prefer our sweat lodges super hot. I mean, to the point where you literally can't breathe. Because to us, if you don't sacrifice, you won't gain anything. Um,
Mhm.
it's a way of showing prowess, and a way of showing your faith in the Creator by literally sacrificing yourself. Same reason for the Sundance, is the same thing. Humblatia, the same thing. You literally, you're starving your body to feed your vision. That's literally what a
Mhm.
vision quest is. You're starving your body to feed your vision. Okay, because you're standing in the faith of your Creator. And that stuff, this is stuff that a lot of people that go around and claim that they're shaman are forgetting. Um, and they take this title, and they wear that
Mhm.
title like it's a badge. I mean, how many times have you guys ever heard me call myself a Wachashoakan? You know, I hardly ever mention it, because the people out there will know just by your mannerisms and the way you handle yourself, what your place in society is going to be. Okay. um, for the longest time, um, there was a Cherokee brother of mine that used to tell people, now when you go visit, when you go see Nighthawk, you take him tobacco. You have to take him tobacco. And finally I told him, I said, let them just come and see what happens, you know. And it's amazing how when people, the honest ones, are that are looking for the guidance in the indigenous arts, and spiritual beliefs, um, the the ones that are passionate about it are the ones that can bring the tobacco or gift to the elder or the medicine people without even being prompted to do so. It's the ones that you have to prompt to do so that really don't have, first off, the understanding of what kind of path they're going to go on. So they really probably shouldn't be on that path. If you can't
Mhm.
if you can't determine how respectful to be to your elders and to your medicine people on your initial visit with them, then you shouldn't be on that spiritual path. Your path is supposed to be on another path. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Um, I agree with Carl here, and that's kind of what you was hitting at. There's a lot of false prophets out there, especially in the pulpits.
Yeah,
A tree by its fruit, the fruit that it bears. Exactly. I mean, you're 100% right, Carl. Urso says you have to be accepted in the social order before anyone will teach you, and that's what I've always been told. I don't know, but that's what I've
exactly.
always been told.
Exactly. And that part, that first step to the initial acceptance is your initial visit when you request to speak to a holy person or a medicine person. And they're gonna we as indigenous elders and medicine people, when we have somebody come to us, we're not looking at the color of their skin. We're looking at in here. What is in here is what counts. Okay, it's not the color of your skin.
Mhm.
And I think this whole thing with race is just a way for the darker parts of humanity to come forth, if you know what I mean. As far as
Mhm.
the dark arts, that the best way to separate humanity is through prejudices and fears of others. And that's exactly the way society's been going. But we
Yeah.
as elders and as medicine people, when we have somebody come to us for the initial visit, and to talk to them, we're going to base our acceptance of them off of their caring spirit, off of their knowledge, their basic knowledge, off of the way they present themselves to the elders and the medicine people. These are all things that we factor in. Um, and age and color of skin and religious beliefs, they really have not too much to play into it at all, if anything, because we look at the inside. It's as without, so within, and
Mhm.
that's how we perceive it. So, but yes, Urso, you are absolutely right.
Deadwood says, "Is warm wood better than tobacco?"
Wormwood is a good, how do I want to say this? Wormwood is a good um, cleanser also. But yes, it's what I used to do is I would take some of the wormwood and I would chip it up, okay, and I would mix it with tobacco. And when I do the pipe in ceremony, I will also use the real kinnikinnick, the real breakdown with the raspberry leaves and all that, and the sweet grass and the oh god, the lemongrass and all that that's in it. And I would mix it all together with red willow. Always got to have red willow in it. The willow tree is such a sacred tree to the indigenous people in North America because it's a way to connect us to Mother Earth and to Grandfather Sky. It's the only tree that in areas of water will grow to exponential size. It'll be amazing how big they grow with the more water around. And that's why we use the the tree, the red willow tree, for the poles for our nipis, our lodges and stuff, because of the water retention. Water is used to create, grandfather's breath in a sweat lodge. So, water is and it's like I've said many millions of other times in this podcast, through other podcasts and stuff, that water is the key. Water is the connection to everything. Water is where you will find the missing people. Water is where you find your hidden spirits within the Bible. Okay. The water above and the water below. Okay. Water, I would even go so far as to say, when I brought out the information about the dolphins the other day, how dolphins are literally angelic beings. Literally. They are literally angelic beings. And I say that because it is true. A dolphin is not like any other creature of the ocean. Okay. A dolphin is a protector, is a nurturer, it's a healer, it's a type of a being that can sense the good and the bad in people. Okay, so it puts them on that same spiritual plane as a Wachashuakan, okay, as a holy person. Okay, a dolphin is on the same pedestal as the holy person. Okay, the same level, and that makes them angelic, in my opinion. And you know, it's something to be said that, when the bald eagle flew as high to the sun and singed its feathers, against the heat of the sun. And that's why every bald eagle has singed feathers now. How the hawk and the eagles and stuff, the birds of prey, were all messengers from the creator to the people, a conduit. Well, the dolphin is the same thing. The dolphin is the same exact thing. They are the messengers from the heavens to the people. And that's why their mannerisms are so caring and nurturing in nature, because of that connection, that divine connection. And I'm just surprised how people haven't made that connection already. Um, you know, People talk about the song of the whales and stuff. Well, if people actually ever played the whale songs and the dolphin chatter and stuff, and songs that the dolphins sing, um, played that at night, they would feel literally rejuvenated when they woke up the next day, because of those sounds. It's almost like a harmonic type of a cleansing of the body, a grounding. So I urge everybody to follow the wildlife, follow the animals, watch the wolves, watch the birds, get out, communicate with them, whether it looks stupid or not. Communicate with them, you know, offer them
Mhm.
things, talk to them, interact with them. How many hundreds of times have I told you all about the bumblebee that comes out every year and hangs around me outside while I do my work and stuff, and walk around outside with Jacob and all that, and Tracy. It's that same connection. When you have that connection to something, or a praying mantis comes to you, and how it tilts its head and it's listening to you, because it is connected in a way that we are not connected anymore to this world
Mhm.
and to the spirit world. Just because something doesn't speak English or any other language doesn't mean that something is not more intelligent and more spiritually sound and connected than we are. And that's what we need to realize. We need to realize that we are not the almighty beings that we are led to believe. Okay. We are not the ones that kick the anthill just because we wear a boot and we're bigger. You know, we're the ones that need to respect that anthill and learn from it and see how its colony works together for the good of all instead of the good of one. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the whole teachings of spirituality when it comes to us. It's just it's the way of it. It really is.
Mhm. Carl says, William, I have a return package today. Carl and his packages. Bounty says, I know how this sounds, but a lot of stuff that has helped me, I remember from two other lives, little bits of beings intervening to
Intervene.
help. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've had that same deal, and that seems to be the case with a lot of other people too. And that's just connecting to the vibrations of your past.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have I said that I have little people that little spirits and stuff and elementals around me that, along with my spirit guides and my guardian angels, they're around me to this day. In fact, I can feel right here next to me.
Mhm.
And I saw one of them standing up here, and it was taller than my room that I'm in. So I only saw like the
Mhm.
lower half of it, but it was standing there. Um, during this podcast. I don't know if you all noticed
Mhm.
when I looked up. Um,
Yeah.
it's it, there is, and that's why I've got to get that video out today. I've got to about wait until dark. There's so much that we don't see. Even holy people, even medicine people, sometimes we don't have the ability to see because they mask it from us. I'm a firm believer that in order to have the ability to see everything, that you need to have the NDE, the near death experiences, because that's going to open up a whole nother spiritual world for you to have the ability to see things. And with all of mine that I've had, including the one with cancer, it's it's definitely taken my abilities from a 6 or a 7 on up to a plus 15 on the volume dial. And
Mhm.
people people tend to shrug it off, like, oh yeah, I was clinically dead for 30 seconds, and I didn't see any lights or anything, it was just black and da, da, da. Well, it was black because you didn't open up your mind enough. Your spirit wasn't open to accepting what your abilities were going to be to see.
Mhm.
And you'd be surprised at how many people say that all they saw was darkness. And but out of that darkness, there are so many beings that you have no idea that are there. And that's the thing. I think in order for us to grow as a people, as an oyate, as a nation, I think we need to, how do I want to say this? We need to focus on what the ants do. We need to focus on the whole, the good of the colony, not just the good of one. And I say that because the one thing that I've always been a firm believer of. I got to get more coffee here in a second, so I'll shut up in about another minute. Um, I've always been a firm believer of is, whether you are a Muslim brother or sister of mine, or whether you are a Christian brother or sister of mine, or whether you are a Native American brother or sister of mine, whether you are a Hindu brother or sister of mine, whatever it is, a pagan, it doesn't matter to me. Okay. A Wiccan, it doesn't matter. Okay. What matters is if you're using your knowledge to help the good of the colony, to help the good of the people. That's what matters. Okay? It's not the differences of religion. That has nothing to do with it. We all know that was started by the people that control this world, that want to control us and to keep you separated from one another. It's until you can get past that separation, then mankind and humanity will truly become powerful. You know, you have to get beyond that separation of religion, because until you do, you're not going to find your total spiritual strength that the Creator has bestowed upon us, that these other families that control this world have hidden from us. They keep us dumbed down with the fluoride in the water, with the prescription medications, with the,
Damn it.
and I'll say it, with the jabs. Okay. They are dumbing us for a reason. And that reason is because they're afraid that if we set all of our feelings aside about religion and our self identities, whether you identify as a man, a woman, a cat, a dog, a mule, I don't give a shit, you are still a spiritual, energetic being. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And until we realize that, and until we all come together with that, and we stand for the good of humanity, those elites that are controlling us with all these other fears of control, um, grocery prices, medical prices, diseases and all that, um, until we come together and function as one, we won't be able to get rid of that bloodline, that evil bloodline that's been controlling us for all these years. And I'm not even going to go so far as to say that they're the Anunnaki bloodlines, but they are somewhere along that genetic path. Okay, um, definitely reptilian bloodline, definitely. I've talked hundreds of times about that. But these are the differences of humanity right now, and that's why a lot of people bring up the color of the skin. They do. They bring it up because they know that it's a separating factor. And here's the George Soroses of the world, and the Clintons of the world, and the Bushes of the world, and the Rockefellers and Rothschilds with their cattle prods, prodding that person that has the dark skin to scream about racism and all that, and that Native American person that was neglected and given diseased blankets and treated like he was a prisoner of war, cattle prodding them to get them to speak out. Because every time we speak these things in a negative way, it causes more division in our societies, in humanity as a whole. And they want that. That's how they have control. They live for that. They bleed for that. I got to get more coffee.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn the camera off. I don't want to show everybody my armpits.
Oh. Scott wanted to let you know that the patches were delivered, and it showed that it did, but he never got it, so he's guessing someone else enjoyed them.
Are you kidding?
He said he just wanted you to know.
All right, I'm sending up something to him. Then I'm going to send out another one.
He also
I don't
said,
think
I
I
saw
have
it.
that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
He said, he goes, also sauna several days a week, not a sweat lodge, but there is something spiritual about the experience. And in Norse, or in the Germanic cultures, saunas are very spiritual. So I mean that makes sense, which ties in.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to understand Poncho's deal here. I guess I'll get to it here in a minute because it's for both of us. I'm trying to get caught up on this old stuff, but man, Poncho, I apologize. I still don't recall that. A sauna. So I mean, that's something very spiritual. So I mean, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you'll see that in a lot of Germanic and Native American cultures. Sweating or saunas. That's very spiritual. V Team Paranormal says, I don't know my First Nations culture as my twin sister and I and my other siblings were taken away from our family in the 60s. Oh, wow.
That
That's
wasn't uncommon.
very,
Yeah, that
yeah.
wasn't uncommon. My own mother was taken away when she was an infant, from her
Mhm.
people. And she was raised by a Baptist minister and his wife in West Virginia. Her and her sister, and that's not uncommon at all, especially in all the way up into the late 70s. Um, it's like I said that government didn't even give us our permission to use our own spiritual ceremonies and stuff like the Humblatia and the Sundance and the Inipi, the Sweat Lodge until the late 70s. Um, we didn't have those religious rights and freedoms that everybody else had in the country at the time. And you know, it, it, it's sad, but at least we had the elders to teach us in private, and at an undisclosed locations and stuff. I mean, I remember as a child standing with a 30-30 rifle outside the sweat lodge grounds to protect the people doing the sweat lodge. Here I was 10 years old and I'm holding a 30-30 rifle, knowing how to shoot it too, by the way, a marksman.
Mhm.
Um, you know, but who, that's stuff that we had to do, you know. Um, there was a Seneca woman, a very, very dear woman. I almost called her, she was like a grandmother to me. And when she passed away, it was very, very devastating to me, because my grandmother, she died before I was 3.5 years old, and I didn't have the graciousness to growing up with a grandmother. So I kind of adopted this one woman, and Grandma Twyla was her name, and
Mhm.
she, whenever we used to go to the powwows and stuff, and she would always come up and give me a hug and stuff, and all that, and it was, she used to tell me about, the ways of her people and all that. And we used to sit and just, as a young person, I used to sit and just listen and to her talking, about her people's ways and stuff. And it really wasn't that much different from ours. And I guess that kind of ignited the fire underneath me to get out of the darker arts of my people and into the 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 walking beauty way, the red road, the way the red road should be walked. And
Yeah.
that's when my father started talking to me about things and how to build a sweat lodge, and what songs to sing and prayers to say and all that. And it's amazing to me that the whole purpose of a reservation is to separate people from the masses.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what they succeeded in doing. But not only did they separate us from the non indigenous people, but they separated us from each other. And that's not good. That's not good at all. Yes, in the old
Mhm.
days, we did, fight over hunting grounds and spiritual places and all that. Yes, we did. That's just a part of history that shall never repeat itself. Um, But for the whole, we all understood that in order to get along in on Mother Earth, that we needed to get along with each other for the most part. That's why we
Mhm.
had certain areas of Mother Earth that we all would go to, like Pipestone, Minnesota, where no nation was able to war against another in Pipestone, Minnesota, because that was where we got our Chanupa bowls, the rocks to make the Catlinite to make our Chanupa bowls. It's and there's other areas too of the country that they deemed that spiritual grounds, burial grounds and stuff, and mounds. Those were, you don't think about warring with somebody or somebody being an enemy when you're on those grounds, because it was kind of like a curse or a hex type of a thing that would happen to you if you thought that negativity on a spiritual mark, a spiritual ground. That's where the ancestors would come in and torment you and make you change your mind on things, when you're in that area. But we also had areas of the country that was set up to just trade and barter with one another, and if we could do that, being the savages that we were told we were, why can't humanity as a whole do that? Why can't they come together and formulate a way to commune with one another without the hatred and without the violence and all that? One of the big worries nowadays is the whole food thing. And, we used to get power from fasting. When we did the Humblatia, we'd go 3-4 days without eating. Sure, we'd have water to drink, or sage water to drink, but we would go without eating. And if we could do it back then, they can do it nowadays. Fasting, if you can fast 16 hours out of a day at least once a week, then you will be surprised when you come out of that fasting how spiritually strong and how mentally strong you are going to be. It's amazing. It's a way for our body, our spiritual aspect of our body, to cleanse itself. It really is.
Yeah. I want to, before we get to this next question, so for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, I want to hit two key points. And this is one that I love on the Lakota, and a lot of Native American cultures this way, and cultures around the world. We don't see ourselves individual in a tribe. It's, the adults are called mother and father, regardless if they're your mother and father. The elders are called grandmother and grandfather. They all help raise the young. They all do this stuff. It's one big family group. So when he was talking about, the division, I believe in getting back to them old ways. You need to get back to, my mother, my father, my grandmother, my grandfather, my brother, my sister. It's not, hey, you over there. It's, hey, brother, hey, sister, hey, mother, hey, father, hey, grandfather, hey, grandmother. So that's something that when William's talking about this, or I'm talking about that, this is what we're kind of referring to on that is this is the old ways. Another thing that he was talking about, this is very steeped in Native American lore, and in ways in a lot of other cultures too, but it's not named this way. But he was talking about the red road. There's two roads in life that you have to choose to walk down. You have the black road, which is flat, smooth, easy to walk. When you get to the end, the rewards ain't near as great. Then there's a red road. It's hilly, it's bumpy, it's rocky, it's challenging. But when you get to the end of that red road, the rewards are astronomical. So there's two paths in life that you got to choose to travel. Do you want to travel the black road, the easy way, or do you want to travel the hard way and earn what you get? And that's the red road. So when he's talking about the red road, that's what he's referring to. I know we got some new people in here, so I wanted to kind of touch bases on that a little bit so they know what we were understanding, or they could understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Ida wants to know, besides tobacco, sorry, bro.
No, go ahead. I was just going to read that too. Besides tobacco, what else is a good gift for elders? It's really up in the air. I mean, if you can gift them, I mean, I've had people bring elders boxes of food, dry goods and stuff, especially on a reservation. You can bring them um, blends of herbs, you know, catnip, thyme, all kinds of different herbs. Red willow's another good one. I mean, stuff that we would use for ceremony. I've been gifted turkey wings and stuff like that to make feather fans out of, and all kinds of different stuff. There's really no limit. I mean, I've been gifted buckskin too, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I've taken that buckskin and made moccasins for people and given those moccasins away. So you see, that's the whole premise of being a Wachashawakan and a holy man and medicine person for our societies. We, when we get these gifts, we tend to pass these gifts on 99% of the time. We tend to pass these gifts on to other Native people within our community. And that's the whole premise of this. It's not that you're giving something to someone because they deserve it. It's not that at all. It's a way of honoring the whole circle, not just the one person in the circle, but the whole circle. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and by gifting stuff, first off, a gift needs to come from the heart. It needs to come from a good place. So I always tell people that when they go to, because people are always telling me, when I go to a gemstone show or or to a powwow and stuff, how I always buy too much, and I don't buy something that actually speaks to me. How do I make that? How do I find out what speaks to me? And I tell them, you take your hand and you
Mm-hmm.
close your eyes and you hold your hand over the objects in front of you on the table. And whenever you feel your energy drawn from the palm of your hand to an object, you'll feel heat. Your palm of
Mm-hmm.
your hand will heat up. Okay. And you'll feel the draw to that object. And the closer your hand gets to the object, the hotter your hand's going to get. Okay. That's how you tell. Your spirit will tell you what objects are meant for you. Literally. That's the way we're
Yeah.
designed. That is literally the way we are designed. We're not designed to choose with just our eyes or just our taste. We're designed to
Mm-hmm.
use our essence. The Chinese call it qi, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're designed to utilize that. Everybody always wonders too about, Bigfoot. This came up in a podcast a couple days ago, I think, where about orbs. And, how come orbs are seen around Bigfoot? Well, first off, when you are attached to the environment in such a deep way that Sasquatch or Bigfoot are attached to, you're going to develop certain abilities that can mimic the environment around you. You're going to develop abilities to hide yourself, to um, instant camouflage yourself. You're going to have abilities to heal yourself. You're going to have abilities to show your spiritual strength. And what I tell people whenever they see an orb, first off, any orb that you see in the woods is a supernatural entity. It's a supernatural spiritual energy, like plasma. Okay. It's just like that. Okay. And when you're dealing with a Bigfoot with an orb, what you're seeing, and this is my belief and from what I was taught, okay, what you're seeing when you're dealing with a Bigfoot that has spotted with an orb or two around them, you're literally looking at their energy. You're literally looking at their prowess. You're looking at their spiritual medicine. You're looking at their deceased loved one that's still with them, protecting them. Okay. Those are the energies that you see. The Brown Mountain Lights are a very, 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 very big spiritual orb energy. Okay.
Mhm.
Some people say, oh, it's because of the earth has energy coming out of it and these orbs come out. And, some people say it's swamp gas. I've seen swamp gas. Okay. It dissipates, it doesn't stay and hover. Okay. It slowly rises and then it slowly breaks apart and dissipates. Okay. Um, that is when you're seeing an orb with a cryptid or even an orb by itself in the wilderness in the forest, you're seeing literally spirit. You're seeing the essence and the energy of something. Whether that energy is a fey energy, like an elemental, or whether it is a energy of a deceased ancestor, a native person, indigenous person that died upon those grounds. You know, that's what you're seeing. Okay, you'll be able to tell an orb, an energy orb from a potential earthquake happening from an actual spirit orb. So,
Mhm.
and then you have the orbs that are way up in the sky. Well, those are energy orbs too, but those are energy orbs. I kind of liken those orbs that people see when they see UFO sightings and UAP sightings. I kind of liken those orbs unto kind of like a drone, a spiritual drone coming into our world, if that makes sense. Kind of like sending out a scout, but yet a scout that kind of like, well, perfect example when Jessica does her remote viewing. Okay. There are beings out there that when they do a remote viewing, how do you think people are traced back that remote view areas? It's because they see your energy.
Mhm.
Okay. And they can trace it right back to you. Jessica can tell you this. Okay. And I'm sure
Mhm.
she's probably listening, or at least I hope she
Yeah,
is.
she is. She just
Um,
commented, but I'm stuck on a question.
yeah. Anyways, but yeah, that's how they find the remote viewers is they follow their energy. It's very easy. And when you can do it, you can do it. Okay. Exactly,
I gotta
Jessica.
get back up to
Exactly.
this question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
dropped down there. I gotta get back up to our next question. We have got so much. I'm behind.
All right. I'll shut up.
Um, you're good. You're good. These are questions that need to be answered so people know, and the only way they know is by us telling them these questions. There we go. V Team says my niece's name was Raven. After she died, and on her university anniversary of her death, I had a raven visit me in my apartment window. Is that a messenger from my niece Raven that she is still with me? I believe so. And something
Yes.
to remember when you get visited by an animal, always say, because we forgot how to communicate with them for the most part. Some of us still can, but as a whole, we forgot how to communicate with our brothers and sisters in the animal and plant life. Ask it, say, tell it, say, thank you for visiting me. If you have a message for me, please deliver it in a language in a dream or in a language that I understand in a dream. Because it could be trying to relay something to you, but we can't understand. You can't understand it. So always say, "Please deliver it to me in a dream in a language that I understand."
Yep.
I'll let you
Yeah,
on that one.
that is definitely what the Raven was. It was and that's not uncommon because the Raven, the owl, the eagle, the hawks, the falcons, those type of birds, the turkey vulture is another one. Those type of birds travel and bring forth messages to and from the
Sorry, go ahead.
spiritual world. Okay, they do. And they basically are a way to let people that are still living in this, I call, avatar of a body, um, that their ancestors are with them, that their relatives are always with them and watching them and making sure that they're okay. Um, but you know, at the same time, there's also parts of these things, like when I see a crow, like if I'm driving down the road or a highway or something, or I'm with a friend and I see a crow fly across our path, I'll tell the friend to slow down, and they'll be like, "Why?" And I say, "Watch." And mile or two down the road, in the center of the highway, will be sitting a sheriff deputy or a highway patrolman with their radar gun. And they always look at me and they go, "Well, how did you know that?" I said, "Because the crow told me so." When the crow flies across your path when you're driving your vehicle, I can guarantee you 99% of the time there's going to be a cop sitting down somewhere down the road from you, or some kind of an emergency vehicle, whether it's an ambulance or a fire truck or whatnot, because the crow in that instance represents law and abiding. Okay. And when that crow flew across the front of the vehicle that we were in, that's the message that it brings forth. Okay. When the crow lands on your windowsill, like in like for the one family member in the chat, that is a divine intervention. That is a divine way for your ancestors to show you that they love you, that they're there for you, and that they're not very far from you. And that's a way for you to communicate with them too. You can talk to that crow. You can say, "Crow, take this message back to my so and so, my loved one, and tell them that I think of them often and I love them and I miss them and I wish I could see them more." And I guarantee you, as soon as you say that, that crow will probably take off. And every time you see that crow is a way for your ancestor to show you that they are with you. Okay. So you don't feel
Mhm.
so alone. Okay.
Well, and the thing is the raven is not only sacred in the Native American culture. You know, the raven is a messenger from the great creator. It is also very sacred in the Germanic cultures as well. You know, Hugin and Munin, they sit on the right and left shoulder, you know, thought and memory of Odin. And they travel the worlds and bring back knowledge to Odin, you know, Hugin, Munin, thought and memory. Ravens play a significant part. And like people don't realize, it wasn't a dove that Noah let loose from the ark, it was a raven. But a raven doesn't fit with the beauty of what the people want in the Bible. So therefore, they made a white dove. White doves are man-made and recent. So I mean, the ravens have a lot of spiritual power to them.
Right.
I'm trying to get caught up on your guys' comments. I apologize, but yeah, I want to make sure I don't miss no questions. Um, but I'm getting caught up. It's taking me a little bit of time, but I'm getting caught up. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. That's how we should be, Amy. Definitely. Yeah, Griff. Me too, bro. Me too. Bigfoot Dwarf said I took the unfinished road. Oh, and Scott said, "Don't worry about the expenses of resending that out. He didn't want you to have to worry about that."
No, I'm gonna send that out again. I'll find something to send them. That's no problem.
Um, but yeah, they were talking about some of the racist places they've been. Hawaii is a very bad one. They don't like haoles. You know, haoles is white people, mainlanders. Yeah, they don't like haoles. And Urso was talking about it was hard for him to find a job. Oh yeah, I mean, I was a very fortunate haole. I got in good with them, so I didn't have near the trouble um, that most haoles do. I mean, I was very fortunate, but I think it has a lot to do with my native background and they respect a native culture. So that's something to think about if you're over in Hawaii. I have a pic of a green orb in a tree. Yep. I am almost caught up, guys. Thank you for being patient with us. There's a lot of knowledge coming out, so when we have a lot of knowledge, it's hard for me to keep up. So I do apologize on that. But I'm trying to make sure I don't miss no questions here. So one thing to remember too. So we were talking about energies, and eventually you feel the energies, and then you start seeing the visualization of the energy that you're feeling. You do that with animals too. I mean, that's how you. Hey, Michelle. That's how one way you could communicate with them is tapping into that energy, that aura, whatever it is you want to call them. That is one way to tap into that, is tapping into the energies of them. That's how I know what my animal's thinking. I'm going to butcher this, and I apologize. Hey, Emilius, but don't you get sick on my computer? No. I know that sound. But that's something to consider. So when you're dealing with energies, you got to consider all that as well.
Yeah.
Here's a question from Bounty. What do you think if 3 crows fly into a car windshield when passing by? Happened to my aunt. I told her she shouldn't be there. That's the same corner I sat for 3 hours that night and saw black bones. Oh, that's a good question. That would be definitely a you question. I'd have no clue on that.
That is, and I can tell you right now that that's not a good thing. A bird like a crow or a raven or even a hawk or an eagle, hell, for that matter, even turkey vultures, they are not going to sacrifice themselves for anything, except if they feel that their sacrifice is going to save a person. In other words, you have to look at it as either an ancestor that was watching out for her sent those ravens to stop her from going any further down that road at a certain time, so she would not be unalived by possibly a vehicle accident or something, tragic happening. So that instance, I believe that was ancestors that sent those ravens, those crows, to the vehicle's windshield to sacrifice themselves for saving her life. And that's just from what I'm reading off of it. There is, crows are such an amazing, very, very intelligent bird. They can talk to you. They will, if you save them in any way or you help them in any way, they're never going to forget that.
They're loyal.
They're not like humanity. Humans, they will tend to forget things over time about how somebody helped them. But crows, they don't do that. They remember that their entire lives, and they will return to that person too because of that, out of respect. So, but yeah, I fully believe that was done for a purpose to save her from becoming unalived. So,
yep, I agree. I mean, that's usually a good sign. Usually that's an owl that does it, but I mean, a crow is powerful medicine. Crow is very, very powerful medicine. So you got to consider that. Michelle says, question, when owls hoot in Union late at night. So she's wanting to know. Yeah, she's wanting to know what that means.
Unison, yeah. Well, you don't want to know, Michelle, what I think that means. First off, I have to revert back to my teachings on that. The owl is a representation of a messenger of a bad omen that's going to happen. um, someone is getting ready to cross over. Someone is getting ready to leave this plane of existence and go on to the next one that you specifically know. Okay. Um, and honestly, when you hear two or more crows, two or more owls together that are screeching and hooting, that could even mean that there's a tragedy that's going to happen with two or three people, individuals. And whether they become unalived or not, I don't know. That's up to the spirits. That's not up to me. That's up to the creator and the spirits. Um, but that's how I would interpret that. They are literally warning you specifically that some people that you know might become in danger or in harm's way, whether it's a trip they're going on, whether it's a a drive to somewhere they're going on, whether it's like a cruise, a flight somewhere together. I really believe that that's what that's for. It's a warning sign. Um, Now, if you see the owl, it's instantaneously that somebody's going to pass. In fact, the last time I saw an owl, no more than a half an hour later, I got a phone call saying that a very dear friend of mine passed away. That's how fast it happens. So,
Mine was like a days.
yeah. So, but yeah, that's what I gather from that.
Yeah. So Grip wants to know someone in life that really likes owls. What does that mean?
Well, I mean, that means that they have a willingness to accept things as they are. And I say it in that way that because most people that have a fascination with owls and entertain owls, um, they have a gift, okay, and they are tending to be people that have had a lot of tragedy in their life, okay. Um, they tend to be people that have consecutively lost somebody that they cared about, whether it's out of touch or whether it's unalived or whatnot, whether it's multiple people that they grew up with, those kind of things happen to the people that really have a fascination with owls. Thank
Yeah.
you, Roxanne, for doing that. Entertainment purposes only.
Um, so I was reading here. Bounty was talking about the black bones, which was tied with the three crows. Says I felt something. I pulled over, sat there for 3 hours. Finally, I said, "Just show yourself, so I know I'm not crazy." He showed himself, very annoyed, like I was a child. And I said, "Thank you," and went to the house on the other side, and went to sleep.
Yeah. Um, Honestly, that is probably the same individual that's been outside my window, in my living room that I talked about. Um, you'll how I want to say this. I don't want to label it the ghost of death or the grim reaper, but I mean it's kind of along that same lines. Um, yeah, it's kind of along that same lines, but I don't really know what I want to label it. Um, but yeah, it's marking a tragedy that's either going to happen or has happened at that location, or will happen eventually at that location, or further down the road, um, when the crows hit the windshield. Um, Yeah, these are all signs that we need to start realizing that they happen for a reason, you know? And we have been so distracted with everything else that we forgot how to read the signs, literally. I mean, how many of you remember your parents or your grandparents telling you that when the leaves turn upside down on a tree, that means it's going to storm and rain?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are things that, that we have forgotten, you know, simple things. And the more of that we realize and remember, the better off we're going to be.
Yep. Dan says, is Moloch spelt wrong? Owl related. Buildings around Washington are owl shaped and viewed from above. Owl in the Labyrinth movie, lots of hidden info in movies, especially with David Bowie.
Yeah, which David Bowie was a unique individual, that's for sure. I don't know a whole lot about him, but as far as personal life goes, but I do know that he had a lot of tragedy in his life. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, and Moloch is tied to owls, ain't he? If I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I know in a Native American culture, there was a dark spirit that thought he was just as good as the great creator, if not better. And in order to prove that he was just as good, if not better than the great creator, he created a life form that could fly through the air without making a sound. And he created the owl. And that's where the owl became in as the messenger of death or sickness or something like that. Um, that's just the really short version of it. But it sounds very familiar to a certain little thing in religions as well. But it's the same concept. But that's how the owl was created, is from that dark spirit trying to prove he was just as good, if not better, than a great creator himself.
All right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, I got a couple pictures I want to bring up too to everybody. That I already, talked to you about, Eric. Not to change the subject, I'll still take questions and stuff, but I wanted to show some of these to see what people thought. I got a trail
Yep.
camera picture of a location within a national park that is questionable, but it's definitely not AI. I've already figured that out, but I can't really figure out exactly what these things are. And it's hard to discern whether it might be buffalo from a distance or whether it might be Bigfoot from a distance. Okay, so I want to
Mm.
show this to everybody and get everybody's opinion on this.
Those are cool. I mean, that one, like we was talking about on the right center, looks very humanoid. I mean,
Hmm.
those are some big boys. The others could be buffalo, and they're hunting the buffalo. I mean, that is very possible as well. But the ones on the three on the left are way too tall to be buffalo. Way too narrow too.
What's everybody saying in the chat?
Carl says, "I hope the pictures are PG."
Uh,
Corey says, "You missed a few, William." Dan says, "Damn, look bipedal." Yeah, especially that one in the right center. That's definitely bipedal. I mean, without a doubt, you can see its legs moving. It could be them on the move. It could be them hunting something. I mean, I don't know. And of course, that one in the right center looks very humanesque, more than Bigfoot. It's hard to say.
yeah, I don't know. I thought it was very, very fascinating.
Mhm.
Um, just the overall picture of it. But I didn't want to I didn't want to like basically say, oh, undefinitively that I can determine that it's not AI. It's an actual legitimate
Right.
camera picture. That I do know from a state park, or not a state park, a national park, federal land. Um, but I couldn't really make it out. I didn't know whether to think it was just a herd of buffalo, and maybe there's a grizzly mixed in with them or something. I didn't know. So, because I definitively can't say that's a Bigfoot clan. I can't
Yeah.
say that because I'm not sure
Yeah.
at that
It's
distance.
yeah. Urso, I can't tell if any of them have a tail. The images are just not clear enough for me to make a definitive, especially with that one in the right center. Looks very, very human. For me myself, I'm the same way as William. I can't say. Michelle says Bigfoot's in some types of big game. Yeah, I mean it could be.
Yeah, it very well could be, but I'm having a hard time discerning. I mean, when you look at the picture, it's pretty deceiving. I mean, obviously, judging by the tree height, those things are very, very tall, but it's still
Mhm.
not unrealistic to say that they're not buffalo, because buffalo can, I've seen them get up to 7, 8 feet tall at the damn hump on their back, so they can get pretty
Mhm.
damn big.
Yeah, they can. Richard wants to know: was this taken from a 1920 phone? No, it was taken from a video, game cam video, wasn't it? Still picked from a game cam video.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Tanya. Um, David says, any idea where this is from?
All I know is it's from one of the federal parks, national parks. And then
Yeah.
there's this one from Oregon. And this
Tanya, I
one
mean, that's a
really,
good possibility.
yeah.
Yeah,
This one
sorry.
from Oregon. This is the one from
Ooh, that
Oregon
looks,
that was caught on camera. And I have not been able to debunk this, believe it or not.
that looks very Bigfootish. Very, very big. That's a good, that almost looks like maybe a juvenile, if
Exactly. That's what I
that's what
thought.
that is.
That's exactly
I'm
what I
sorry, that
thought.
screams, yeah, that does. It screams juvenile.
Hmm. It looks like to be about 6.5 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's
We're
only because
still
it's
getting
hunched
caught up
over.
on, yeah. Uh, Bigfoot Dwarf said someone did a follow up on that location and said it was a mailbox. On that previous picture, man, that's a lot of mailboxes. That could
Yeah.
be, though. They look like a foot soldier species of Bigfoot. Could be. I'm getting caught up on the from the last picture still. Uh,
Let me
there
see.
we go.
This
Now we're
this
on.
one
We're
here
getting
is a
up
mail.
to, yeah.
This one
There's
here
a
is
lot of mailboxes.
mailboxes. Yeah, that is a lot of
I
mailboxes.
mean, you're not saying there ain't, but man, that's a lot of mailboxes for no home sitting right there in a national park. Man, that's cool. If it is.
Yeah.
We're I'm finally caught up on the the next picture that you had up. Yeah, it's a big juvenile.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that to me that looks very big on that. The other picture that looks very big footish, very juvenile. Yeah, that one there. Man, that's a good picture. I mean, I can't
Yeah.
100. I'm not. I wasn't there. I wasn't there. I did not take the picture. I have no idea what it is. Judging by what I can see on that, to me, yes, that looks like a juvenile Bigfoot.
Yeah. And I
Um,
cannot debunk this at all, though. That's the thing. I went through and I measured the length of the arms compared to the legs, and the arm length on this thing is longer than than 36 inches, which is longer than most humans could ever be. Um, and the hands go down below the knees. Also with the gait of it,
Yeah.
the
Hey,
gait of
Joanne.
it is something too, and the way that it's hunched over. Like I said, I couldn't find a way to debunk this at all. So I'm going to take the person at their word that this is a legitimate picture. That's
Yeah.
just my opinion.
Yeah, Bigfoot, let me know. Let me know on that because like I said, man, that's a whole lot of mailboxes in one small area if that is. But Bigfoot Dwarf says, I'll cover this picture later today if I can find the mailbox and follow up. Yes, man, let us know. That would be perfect. That'd be awesome. From that picture, I can't see no mailboxes. Especially that one looks like a humanoid type thing dragging something behind it.
Oh, this one here.
Yeah.
I almost think that one in the center that looks like it has two legs is a bear standing up.
Yeah.
That's what it
I
looks
mean,
like.
I can see where one of these does, especially like the one next to that tree does. I mean, I could see where that would look like a mailbox, honestly. That looks like the brick domed type of mailbox. These others, though, man, I don't know. I really don't see it. Especially that one in the right center. That's definitely humanoid.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, I'm interested because I can only see one thing in this whole picture that I can distribute as being a mailbox. So yeah, I would love to see that, man.
Hey, Bigfoot
That would
Dwarf.
turn a lot of
I want to ask Bigfoot Dwarf something. Last night when he was on BMR, did he see my comments? Just curious.
Corey says in that video that picture was taken from, it says it shows them moving towards the direction of the camera.
So they're moving. Yeah, it's not a still.
Hey, Lori.
So that's a still from an actual video recording then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that first picture, I mean, it's hard to say. I can't say what it is. Now, that second one was very, very telling. That second one's what gets me excited because that is very, very, very telling in its own. The first one, you just can't, it's too grainy, too far out. Man, I mean, it could be a mailbox, but I'm wondering if somebody didn't say that to hide what was in there too. That makes me wonder because I'm like, man, that's a lot of stuff. If that's a still footage from a video taken and they're moving. If that's the case, it's definitely not a mailbox because a mailbox ain't gonna be moving unless somebody hits it. So, which God, I've had enough of putting that crap up the last few weeks. Stupid plow trucks hitting mailboxes, and my ass has got to be the one going out there putting new ones up or fixing them.
Stupid plow trucks.
Stupid plow trucks doing what stupid plow trucks do, doing their stupid snow, hitting stupid mailboxes. But yeah, I'm real curious on what Dwarf figures out on that, man. What Brown Dwarf figures out on that. I really, really want to know. And I'm wondering if we ain't got either somebody looked at the wrong location or quit. Somebody got the pictures mixed up.
Right.
If everything is crisp and clear from that far of a distance, it's a fake. Yeah, that second picture was pretty good, man. That was pretty good. But yeah, in that still footage of that video that you're talking about, Corey. I mean, it's going to be grainy as hell. I mean, that's a really, unless you got a high def camera, hey, you're not going to get very clear footages, and that looks like a still photo from a security camera which a lot, even in national parks, they don't have the high def. That's a lot of money. So I could see that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Need Mr. Plow. Yeah. Hey, that's what these guys seem like, man. It's God, they hit that stuff and they hit my signs, man. I've been busy as hell trying to fix that stuff. But I just know from the national parks, and plus, I was taking wildlife management, Missouri conservation in college. They don't get a whole ton of money, so most of their security cameras, when they are working, they're old cameras. I mean, they're not the high
Right.
def. Some of them is upgrading to high def, but there's still a lot of them that's got them old cameras, which looks just like what we saw in that still photo. Could be a hidden Native American tribe evolved over the years and grew fur, and they are running out of food, so they emerged. I mean, I'm a firm believer that there is hidden old way Native American tribes. I'm a firm believer in that. We have way too much wildlife unexplored, nature unexplored. It is very easy for an old tribe to be hidden in that. That is definitely possible.
Yeah, I believe that too. And in fact, that's not very far off from a lot of the medicine men when they go out into the wilderness and live off the land and stuff on their own. They will often take on the form of a wolf or a hairy
Yes.
man, because they are trying to connect and make that sacred connection to the environment around them, and to get that spiritual strength to develop their spiritual prowess. And some of these medicine men and medicine people go out for years on end and don't have any human contact. And then just all of a sudden, one day, they'll come walking out of the wilderness, and people will think that there's some kind of undiscovered cryptid. But yet, here they are. They're just a human being, you know? So,
Look at the feral people.
yeah.
Another prime example. I mean, feral people. I mean, that's that's a big one too. Um, Dan, I'd say you're probably knocking on the door, a very good door when it comes to that comment. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you on that.
I can tell you from my
Yep.
interactions with park rangers and stuff, from being a guest speaker at several events, they come up to me all the time, and they introduce themselves, and they tell me, they say off record that that there are things out there in the backs of these national parks that nobody knows about. There are locations to where humans should not be, because they will come up missing. They're
Yep.
finding and tracking Bigfoot and dogmen and all these other things, even UFO activity. There was one park ranger that told me that out in oh, what park was it? It was I want to say Yellowstone. Maybe it wasn't Yellowstone. I want to say Yellowstone. It was a few years back, and he told me flat out that they actually had a town that was located back in way out in Yellowstone that nobody knew about, that was kept off of the satellite imaging, um, and that they used this town as, it's almost like a I don't know like a clone town. Like there was people there that weren't acting like normal humans, that they were acting like the videos that you see of some of these celebrities and politicians freezing up and glitching, that they were acting like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and then you have reports of stairs and doorways being found in the wilderness and national parks and all that. So, I mean, anything is
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, definitely. They made a comment here about NDAs and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, National Rangers have to sign NDAs. There's a lot of stuff they're not allowed to talk about. Now, when they
Exactly.
retire and a certain time frame passes, then you'll hear them coming out and talk about that stuff.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Okay, go before you start
Well,
making a whole lot of noise.
I'm starting to get pretty exhausted here, guys. I'm probably going to end up crashing the rest of the day, but I got another cup of coffee to drink, so I can stay on until that cup of coffee's gone. If anybody has any questions, please ask them now because I may not be here for very long. And I say that with the utmost love for everybody in the chat. But physically, I'm I'm starting to feel defeated. So if you have
We
any
went over 2 hours,
questions,
bro.
please ask them now. Ask them now while I'm still able to answer them.
I need to check on Brown Door still. I just remember too, I haven't been getting none of his alerts either, so I need to make sure I'm still subscribed or that thing hasn't changed back to private again,
Yeah,
like it does a lot. I mean,
and Bigfoot dwarf. I I hate that word dwarf. I really do. I don't. To me, he's head and shoulders above everybody as far as I'm concerned because he's my brother and I love him to death. I really do. Um, I got the utmost respect for him and he knows that. Um, but yeah, I'm just curious to see if he actually saw my comments in the chat on the show last night that he was on with BMR and Tex and all them. Because I put several comments in there for him and I just, nobody on that show even acknowledged that comments were made, which is kind of surprising to me because there were so many good people in that chat section that were making some really good valid points, and they didn't bring it up, and it just kind of shocked me.
so I just checked and I was unsubscribed from your show, Bigfoot Dwarf. So I resubscribed. You guys get a chance, go over, look up Bigfoot Dwarf on YouTube and subscribe. I don't know why. That's like the second time it's unsubscribed me. I don't know why it keeps doing that. So you guys get a chance, get over because I mean he puts out some hell of good info.
I'm starting to
But
think that I got blocked from BMR and all that, and the Blondes and Booze podcast. I don't know. Maybe they don't like me.
If someone has helped get rid of a child's seizures, can you help them? Help you?
Child seizures. Man, that is such a touchy area because I mean seizures in a child. I used to have seizures when I was young. I eventually grew out of it. But I think it was like 13 when I finally had my last seizure and I grew out of it. Um, it's a hard thing to evaluate to begin with to figure out how to treat it. So that I don't know because it could be it could be anything medical wise. It could be anything as far as an attachment to the child. It could be influences of the spirit world. I mean, it could be a number of different things that are affecting and causing the seizures, from epilepsy to diabetes to, you know, to even just neurological problems. But I would say that the best thing to do, um, and what they used to do with me is basically they used to put like a pencil or a pen in my mouth, lengthwise like this, so I wouldn't bite down on my tongue when I went into seizures, or swallow my tongue, which I don't know how that's possible, but they say you can swallow your tongue. So, but, and then they used to just hold me and cool compresses on my forehead. And that was pretty much all that they would do for me. Um, but I would definitely first check with a medical doctor to see if it is medically related to a possible condition, and then proceed that way, and talk to your tribal affiliated medicine people, or even go to your holistic doctors or something. See if you can change something in the child's diet. Um, for the longest time, I never knew I was allergic to something, and that something was in a lot of everything that I touched on a daily basis, and that something is latex, and I am highly allergic to latex. So, yeah, it could be anything, really. It really could.
Mhm.
So, I would keep
Yeah.
probably some catnip herb on hand, and some chamomile, and brew up a tea and have the child drink the tea after, out of the convulsion or the seizure that they're having, um, and help that relax their system. I've heard cases of taking and doing therapeutic water therapy, helps children with seizures and stuff, like a kind of like a, not a hot tub, but kind of like a jacuzzi, where it blows out the water and it massages you. I've heard that happens a lot and helps people. I've heard salt baths help children a lot with seizures, but you have to stay with them. You can't leave them alone in the tub, because of possibility of drowning, because it only takes less than 3 inches of water for a human being to drown in. Um,
You
so
can
you have
drown
to
on
definitely,
a spoonful of water.
yeah. What was that? Was that a question?
Uh, William, the energy has shifted in some podcasts lately, and I can validate that comments that seem to valid are often ignored. One aspects of your podcast and Eric's that I find energetic interactions. Thank you. We try.
Thank you very much, Deidre. Thank you very much. That means a lot to me. I only hope I can
She
continue
says
doing it.
You and Eric are both engaged with. We are not your audience. We are connected. Hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Your family. That's exactly the way it should be.
Mhm. Yeah. Secret space program. Yep.
SSP. What do you all think? I'm curious, Dan. I want to ask Daniel this, and everybody, that what do you all think about the SSP? Do you think it's legitimate, or do you think that it's kind of like a perpetually never-ending fantasy? I mean, I just don't know,
Well,
because I'm torn, because I go by what the spirits tell me, which tells me that the
mhm.
whole space thing is a complete hoax. And I like to listen to my spirit guides, and to all the elementals that are around me, and to the guardian angels around me. I like to interact with them, and I trust them, and their information that they divulge to me. So I'm kind of torn on the whole SSP thing. To me, it would make more sense if, instead of going up in rocket ships and all this other crap, that it would make more sense that they use portals or wormholes to travel.
Mhm.
I mean, doesn't that make more sense to you?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I know some of my dreams I've been told is tied to the SSP. I don't know enough about it. I'm kind of on the fence on that thing. I can't say it's not out of the realm of possibility. We know the dark arts that the military's into and all this other stuff. I know that it's possible. I just don't know. Hey, bad pup. I just don't know for sure because I don't know enough in it. Now I've had people, like I said, tell me many times the futuristic dreams I had that I woke up with actual injuries on my body from that dream when I was fighting aliens and demons and other dimensional beings and stuff like that. That's part of the SSP program. I just don't
Yeah.
know.
And Bad Pup, when Bad Pup just mentioned a part of NASA, not another space
Mm-hmm.
agency. When NASA was first developed, they weren't even associated with space. They were associated with
Mm-hmm.
the oceans. They were researching
Yep.
the
And now we're getting
oceans,
back into it.
you know. So, they never ever were devised as a space agency. So that in itself makes me kind of curious. Do they know something that they're
Mm-hmm.
not telling us?
Yeah, I mean that definitely. I just don't know enough about it to have an actual legitimate comment on it. I mean, part of me will tell you that this is all just a a a sci-fi come to life type deal. The other side of me says there could be truth to it. I just don't know. I just don't know enough.
Right.
I think legitimate. I had things like ED has. I've brought injuries from. Yeah, I have. I've literally have it. I've done some videos on my realistic dreams. They're under my realistic dream stuff. Of what happened. It's very real. I mean, you can get injured in your dream. Dreams are another dimension that you go into. I'm a firm believer in that. Some of them are past memories. Some of them are just different lives that you live. That's very. I'm a big believer in that, and that's
Yeah.
why the part of that space, that SSP deal, I can believe it being a very good possibility. I just don't know enough.
Right.
It's my
Exactly.
knowledge from my own galactic squad and my higher self, but it's not in my power to make you know what I say is valid. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is that's we. It's like we always say, don't ever take what we say for granted. Take it with a grain of salt and do your own research. And that's kind of where I'm on the wall with it myself.
Right.
I'm very on the wall.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just
Yeah,
I just
Ursula.
brought that
Yeah.
I just brought that up because I just, you know, I guess I want to believe that we have the ability to travel through
Mm-hmm.
space, but to me it doesn't make logical sense. It would make more sense to me if we traveled through wormholes or portals to other, planets and stuff. That seems to be the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And that would make more sense for us to do it that way through stargates and stuff, you know,
Mm-hmm.
than it would to get into a rocket. And it just doesn't make sense to me that a rocket could get you to another planet, because
Yeah.
you think that they would burn out of fuel for the most part, and all the weight of the fuel. What about all that weight? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, the
Um,
average the average airliner, the average 747 or 787s out there, for Boeing takes 38,000 gallons of fuel to fly. That doesn't make sense to me. How can it lift off the ground if it takes 38,000 gallons? You know how heavy that would be? That's what, 4.37 pounds a gallon?
yeah. Yeah. I'm a firm believer that fuel is not the source of space travel. I'm very big onto the wormhole deal. I think that wormholes, black holes, that is where it lies. I'm very big on that because to me, not only on a scientific level of it, but just pure common sense wise, would tell you that is the case because you can never haul enough fuel to get to Mars alone. It's just I mean, I'm a big believer in that.
Right. And that's my thought on it too. I just believe that it's portals or stargates or something that they're using
Mhm.
that to get to other planets. I really do. And I'm not saying that the SSP doesn't exist. I'm just saying that they're doing it from other means of transportating them, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
It makes sense to me that they would use portals and wormholes and stargates instead of rockets. It just makes more sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does to me too. I mean, I can't tell somebody that, oh man, whoever talks about being a higher dimensional being, or a super soldier or a space soldier or whatever it is, they're full of shit. I'm not them. I don't know. I can only tell you what my experiences are. Are some people out there full of crap? Absolutely. Some people out there are full of crap. Some
Well,
people ain't though too. So I mean,
exactly,
that's the
because we
thing.
have to account for these dreams that we have of interacting with other races. But then I think back to my teachings of when our bodies sleep, that we go and we live another life somewhere else
Mm,
in another dimension or another place and time. And during that time that our body here is resting until we come back to this body. And that's why we have
mm,
a lot of what we're seeing in our dreams. Maybe the time of our dream state in this world gives us time to live in another realm, whether it's a parallel universe or whether it's, a completely different world altogether, you know? And there's always that possibility of that happening. And, Emilius, I'm not saying that SSP isn't a legitimate operation. I don't have the information that I would need to deny it. I don't. And I don't deny it to begin with because I know what kind of technology we have. Um,
yeah.
but to me, it makes more sense that they would distract us with the rockets while they're using stargates and wormholes,
Yep.
you know, and just
Yep.
say, "Oh yeah, look at us going to space again," And it's just like
Yep.
the test that um, Elon Musk had just the other day that blew up in the sky. I
Mhm.
mean, to me, it just makes more sense that they're using that as a distraction while they're putting forth efforts in other means. You know,
Yeah.
so
So for me, the what I call my realistic dreams, because I mean they came to me in dreams. The only way I can describe it is, for me, it felt like that it was something they tried to hide, right? And for some reason, that is slowly leaking back to me in a fog like vision. Okay. So when I'm dealing with this realistic dream stuff, and I'm waking up and I've got bruises and I've got cuts and stuff like that, that's what my dreams was like when I had them and I woke up from them. It was like I wasn't supposed to remember this, but for some reason I'm remembering it. If that makes sense.
right, yeah. So I don't know. That's a good. It's a good. I don't know. It's just a good.
Yeah, man. If I was the only human that existed, but life isn't about only us. Yeah, buddy, you're right, dude. I mean, I get that way too, man. I mean, Emilius has a lot of good points, and the stuff he talks about, I don't know a whole lot about him. I find
Well,
him interesting, very very interesting, but I can't
Emilius, we're
comment
gonna
because
we're gonna have to get Emilius on the podcast. Then
oh,
we're gonna
we
have
are
to.
definitely going to have. Yes, we definitely have to. I love what he talks about. I'm not knowledged in it, so I can't give a good educated response to it because I don't know enough about it. I can only tell you what
Exactly.
my experiences are. Now, a lot of people will tell me, "Oh man, that's part of your super soldier space program," and you were doing this, you were doing that. I don't know. Hey, it came to me in a foggy dream. That's all I can say.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm curious what Emilius thinks about that when I talked about my dreams. Coming back to me like it was I wasn't meant to remember it. Is that what happens, Emilius? I'm not for sure. I really don't, honestly, truly don't know enough about it. But I did like that comment. I agree with you. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I was the only one. But at the same time, that'd be boring as hell. The holograms, yeah. I mean, if you read my book, I in Yard, book one, Emergence, a lot of that is based off of my dreams. The planets, the people, the species. A lot of that's based off the dreams that I've had.
Well, just look at the movie Avatar.
Yeah. There, Amelia says a lot of my memories are suppressed. They are mad as and that I can even share this stuff. Oh, man, you're more than welcome to share this stuff. I like learning
Yep.
this stuff, even if I'm not a
Yep.
believer in it. I still like learning it, And then when it's tied to
Yep.
something that's kind of deals with me, that it's just me for me to be able to gather more information to help me understand what I was doing, if that makes
Yep.
sense. I hope I explained that correctly.
Yep. And I'm all for it, Emilius. If you want to come on and
Yeah.
on a Friday night, and we can bring this up and you know find out, and talk about it, because I know a lot of the tech that they had when I was in. Now it's probably obsolete, but back then it was about 60 to 70 years ahead of its time. So I know we have the possibilities of engineering wormholes and stargates and stuff like that. Um, I'm just not 100% sold that we're doing 100% of our exploration of space in rockets.
Mhm.
So
I agree with you on that, Emilius. Yeah. Um, he said that Eric, you was most likely experiencing a realm that wasn't able to be tempered with because it was beyond Earth's field. Yeah, I mean, all I know is I knew I was in these bodies. I knew that I was the one that was controlling an avatar or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I just know I was that being. Now, was I remotely controlling it? Was I it? I have no clue. I just know that I was that person in them dreams. That's all I
right.
know. I mean, it's very interesting.
Well,
But I
guys,
love what he said here.
yeah.
Cabal is mad, not you guys. I love you.
Yeah, the
Yeah, dude,
cabal is
100.
mad at me and Eric all the time. So,
Yeah. No, yeah, hit William up. I would love to get you on like a Friday night show, like he said. I genuinely am curious on what you talk about. I mean, that's why I always pay attention when you say something in other chats, even in these here. Is I'm curious. Now, I'm not going to say I'm a believer, but I am curious. So, I mean, it's another learning thing for me that kind of fits with
well,
something that I've had.
one thing that we do, and I'm sure everybody in the chat that's seen this today will confirm it, is we never make fun or mock people for what they believe, and that's why we have this podcast, this channel, is so we can all come together and learn from it. And the first rule of being part of the Weirdo Warrior family is that you're not rude, and you don't ridicule or laugh at your fellow family member because of their beliefs. And because we all weren't raised the same. I mean, my way of being raised was totally different from just any normalcy that there is. So we want people to talk about their experiences. So, hey, Daryl.
Yeah. I have to apologize to Poncho. I guess we did do something wrong one time, and I don't remember it, but man, I am deeply sorry about that.
Why? What
About
happened?
smudging and chanting, uh, smudging and chanting, and We thought it was laughing about it, calling demonic. I don't remember that, but I am deeply sorry about that. That's not what we're.
I would never
Oh
call
yes, yeah.
smudging
Sorry.
demonic.
Yeah, I mean that's apologize. I don't know if we misunderstood what was going on or what, buddy. But man, I am deeply sorry that happened. I'm the only thing I can think of is maybe we misunderstood each other or something. I don't know because that's not what we like to do. So from the bottom of my heart, bro, I am sorry if that's how you felt. I'm so sorry that's how you felt.
Yeah, I've got no problem with people smudging. Um,
No,
I actually prefer people smudging because it keeps the negativity away. Um,
yeah,
Now, typically, I would use sweetgrass and sage and cedar. Those are my three
mm-hmm,
go-tos. And Sampalo wood is another good one. But yeah, I mean, no, I
hmm.
don't have any problem about anybody smudging. That wouldn't be very
Yeah.
Native American of me, anyways. So I don't
That's what I
know.
was talking about earlier. That's what I was talking
I
about earlier that I was talking to him about because I was like, God, I don't remember this, man. I felt
I
so
don't
bad.
remember it either.
That's what I was talking to him when I was getting caught up. This is interesting info, Emilius. We got to get you on, Ben. But Poncho, just know, man. In all sincerity, I am sorry if that's how you felt. That is not what I'm about. I know that's not what William's about. So I for me, definitely, I'm sorry, dude. Bro, that is. I apologize. I feel like a shithole if I did that. I
Yeah.
honestly don't remember it, but I still feel like a shithole because I mean you're a solid dude, man, and I love having you in here. And if to make you feel that way, that makes me feel bad. Sorry, I'm getting built up in my lungs again, but you know, and I can understand if we did, man, you being upset, but
All right.
I don't, man, I don't know. But yeah, Emilius, thanks for that info, man. Hit William up. Let's get you on. We'll talk more about that. I know we're going close to 3 hours. I know you need some rest, William.
Yeah.
Tonight, I'm going to be doing a show about Hannibal, Oklahoma. Uh, Lucky. Thank you. Oh my God, it finally came up. Respond, man. Much love to you, my bro. Um, uh, Sorry, guys. I'm still coughing stuff up from fighting that fire yesterday. Hannibal, Oklahoma siege. And I extended the deal to Bigfoot Dwarf because I mean I love that dude's input, and he's more than welcome to come on the show and talk with me this night, and I'm looking forward to his stuff. But we're going to talk about that tonight and kind of look into it. I forgot most of it, so I spent a good part of yesterday getting into the BFRO notes on that and collecting that up for the show tonight. So that's what I'll be doing tonight. If you guys haven't been on my Patreon lately, if you're a Patreon member, I released a short story that I made the other day. Sorry. And that's available to my Patreon members at the Bizarre and the Unknown. And that's pretty much what I got going on today.
Well, I got 2 videos I got to try to do today. If not today, then I'll get to them the beginning of the week. And the one is going to be um, wait until dark, and it's going to talk about a lot of the stuff that normal people don't experience or know that actually exists in the dark, from dusk to dawn. Um, well, I'll be going over a lot of different things, a lot of my encounters in the dark, and stuff like that, and what not to do when it's dark, as far as how to conduct yourself if you're out in the wilderness in the dark, what not to do. Um, and then I'm also going to be doing a video on the missing indigenous people, which I believe is a necessity. Um, there
Sorry.
was a young juvenile girl that was um, dismembered recently, um, and I think she was like 12 or 13 years old, and she lived in a kind of like a foster care system, and the home in the area that she was raised in until she was unalived had 30 missing children over like a 10-year period. So we're going to get into a lot with the missing indigenous people. We're going to get into a lot of the survival skills and stuff if you're on your own and you have somebody try to abduct you and all that. What to do, what not to do. It's going to be pretty informative and pretty in depth. So those are the two videos I'm working on, and then of course Friday night we'll have Into the Red Rabbit Hole, and Saturday and Sunday morning Paranormal Coffee Talk. We'll have those, and I'm if depending on how I feel, I might throw in a Midnight Monsters one on Wednesday night at 11 p.m. Only because we missed it last week. So anybody that has a subject they want to offer up and maybe come on with me to explore the subject during Midnight Monsters, let me know. And that's pretty much it. I got a couple the podcasts that I was actually going to do, and the radio show I was going to do got postponed because of my becoming ill this past week. So we got to reschedule those. But other than that, um, Scott, I'm going to mail another envelope to you. Hopefully, you'll get it. If you can, send me your mailing address again. Um, that way, God, it sounds like my house is falling apart. Anyways,
I got helicopters flying all over out here.
yeah,
It's like the third or
I'm
fourth
watching
one I've heard.
the coffee pot, the water in the coffee pot is doing this. You know how it does in the
Hmm.
dinosaur in Jurassic Park when you look at the
Mhm.
glass of water, it's doing that. But anyways, that's what I got going on. So, you know, it's a very weird world out there, guys. And we are just mere friends trying to and family members trying to help one another out, especially through the harshness of times. There's going to be a lot more weird and strange stuff happening late, here lately, and it's going to escalate before it gets better. So, with that being said, we love everybody. You all are family. Please like, heart, and share this out. If you can support the channel in any way, that would be great. Um, what else? As far as the book, Dan, I'm trying, um, but it'd probably be easier for me to just put out a video on what I've experienced and stuff, and then have somebody else write the book. So, but that being said, you know, question everything, guys. Question everything. You have that right. Okay. Everybody stay safe and healthy. Um, Peace, love, and blessings to everybody. And we will see you in the chat on Eric's show or in our podcast chats whenever we come back on. Okay.
Sorry. Peace, love, and blessings, everyone. Ah.